We screwed up. I answered the phone, the whole screen fell over. It was a train wreck. So, sorry about that. And then the previous video was deleted, so we're just going to start over.
The dogs have no peanut butter treats, so they will be up here shortly.
So they're still going to bother us.
That's just going to be part of it.
Philip once again. We'll see about that.
So we're just going to be kind of informal today, which a couple of you probably saw.
Very informal in that kind of.
And talk a little bit about Father's Day. Maybe you can start, love?
Yeah, so we were just saying that Father's Day is very complicated, and it can be particularly complicated for LGBTQ folk. Our relationships with our families are complex, and sometimes everything goes swimmingly when we come out to them if they didn't know our realities right up front, and sometimes they can go horrifyingly badly. So, and that's on top of the complexity of just family dynamics and relational difficulties. So, my own relationship with my dad has been complicated when I was growing up. My folks divorced when I was 15 or so, but he had moved out a couple years before then. And there was a lot of drama and trauma related to all of that. That happens with lots of people. So, he remarried and raised two really lovely girls, women now, obviously. And so he was clearly a really good father to them, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and I'm super glad about. And it's also kind of has some complexity of emotion even there. So it's funny, I'm almost 60. What am I, 55? Somewhere in there. And there's still this complexity of emotion that can hit you related to your parents. So that never really goes away.
Right.
Now your relationship to your dad is complicated too.
It is. My father passed away about 18 years ago from a massive heart attack. Before that, our relationship had, I think, recovered and grown into a better place. I had forgiven him for some abuse. There was abuse, physical and emotional abuse. He was very strict, had a very bad temper. I still love him, but there's a lot of pain there. And my sisters don't even talk about it. They don't admit it. They don't want to go down that road. But for me, I have to go down that road because that's part of healing. It doesn't mean that I have this hatred towards him. I have more of an understanding of who he was, and it didn't have to do with me. It was problems he had. But I think these holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, bring out a lot of emotions in people, especially if there's pain. And some people, they bring out a lot of joy. Beloved doesn't care as much for Valentine's Day as I do, and I love Valentine's Day because it's, I just want to love, love, love. And Mother's Day, is different for both of us too. And I think that we have to be really happy about the dads that were good. And I know many of you out there have really good dads that gave you a lot of joy and love in your life, and they were the men that you needed in your lives. For some people, it just wasn't. So whichever place it is, we celebrate Father's Day because I celebrate God, the Father, the Mother, the Creator, and the unconditional love that I feel from God on this day. I feel like, at some points I kind of was that father for my children, and so that's a part of who I am too. I mean, it's kind of complicated, this holiday, as several are.
I had been thinking about that too. One is I read a long time ago that you have two chances to experience parenting, and one is that when you're being parented, and another is that when you are parenting someone else. And I think that kind of caregiving isn't exclusive to someone that you are genetically created or connected to, or that you give birth to. That you can be a mothering, fathering, caring, nurturing, protective kind of a person in someone's life without having to have birthed them or fathered them genetically. So we were talking about that love of God that Dolce was mentioning, and how we do have that force of protection, creation, progenation, I suppose, that we can look to. It's hard to know. We listened to a pastor that we really love and respect online today, an Episcopal priest friend.
I was just thinking about Brian.
And he didn't even address Father's Day. It was not the subject of his sermon. And I think that there's probably good reasons for that because of the complexity and difficulty, and because of the difficulty of saying anything new. And, you know, the sort of the hackneyed. One of the things I know that you had mentioned that I thought was really powerful was that there's a lot of, gay men who are raising children so beautifully. And you know, we hope that if that's what's happening in your life, you're having a great day and are properly celebrated.
Yeah, you mentioned Brian. I thought about Brian today because one of the first times I felt some healing where it came to someone in a ministerial or fatherly role was Brian. And Father Brian, who we shared his service earlier, is a friend of ours. Him and his husband, they stood up for us at our wedding, played the piano and the violin at our wedding.
Beautifully.
Was a Roman Catholic priest, married a man, left the priesthood, and became ordained
Not in that
Episcopalian. Right, not in that order. But I very much think of him not just like a brother, but I think of him as a fatherly figure. I mean, he's very, or motherly. He's very, he's a shepherd. He's caring. He's instructional. He's those strong things that you often think about in a fatherly figure. So those people have come into our lives in different ways, even if it was through females. So we are happy for celebrating what most people perceive as fatherhood, through God and through other people. But one thing I'd like to advise people to do is that if you're still experiencing a lot of pain, go to groups on Facebook or talk to a therapist online or something to talk out those issues if you don't feel better when you've shared them with somebody else. I was able to share all of those emotions with you in the beginning, and it brought so much healing for me to get them out. It's just getting it out, whether you talk to someone, you write it down, whatever you need to do that. And, however you celebrate it, if it's good for you or it's sad or however you enter into this day, we're praying for you. We love you, and we know that it's different for each and every person.
That's a good message and a good point on a day which has gotten lots of discussion. It's sunny here, and it's a little bit too hot to enjoy the sun. It is hot. I hope that it's lovely where you are, and if it's not, that you are doing some hunkering down in an enjoyable way. We're gonna go get some junk moved from one house to another house. There's just luck and safety. And discernment about what to throw away, okay? Sometimes you gotta throw away junk in your life.
You do.
We will talk to you again tomorrow, and we'll probably be a little more organized than this time and might not need to restart with screens flying and all the rest
Dogs jumping around. And
phones ringing.
And look at my office. My office is messy, and that's just the way it is.
Some cracks back there behind my
hat.
We
got all those books back there.
Some pretty bottles. Look at the mix of like the broken and the beautiful.
Lots of rainbows. We pray that happiness and joy into your life today. And happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.